7 in the evening, outside Kyoto. A woman in her 60s sits in hot water to her ribs and does nothing for 12 minutes. Ellen, in Ohio, showers for 4 and calls it winding down. Both lie down at 11. Only one of them is already cooling, and the cooling, not the heat, is the mechanism. 9 Japanese bath habits tonight. Watch for number 6, because it contradicts what you have been told about hot water. And number 9 is the one that will sting. I am going to call number 9 the empty half hour, and I want you to hold that name. Here is the free thing first, before anything else. 40 to 42 degrees Celsius, about 104 to 107 Fahrenheit, 10 to 15 minutes in it. Finish 90 minutes before your head touches the pillow. That is not folklore. In 2019, Shahab Hagayeg and colleagues at the University of Texas at Austin pooled 17 studies on warm water bathing before bed. People fell asleep roughly 10 minutes faster when the soak landed inside that window. 10 minutes sounds like nothing. Ask anyone who has lain awake for 40. You can do that tonight, and it costs you nothing. But most people who try it will feel no difference at all, and the reason is the empty half hour. Here is the equation the West runs. Tired means not enough sleep. Not enough sleep means go to bed earlier. So you climb in earlier, with the phone, with the day still running in your chest, and you lie there. Japan runs a different equation. The day does not end because you lie down. The day ends because you end it. And the bath is where it gets ended. Not cleaned. Not soothed. Ended. 9 habits. The first one is free. It takes no extra time, and you have been doing it backwards your whole life. Number 1. Yubune. The tub is not a sink. You have been sitting in your own dirt. That is the plain version. In the Western bathroom, the tub is where washing happens. So you climb into clean water and climb out of gray water, and the whole thing is a chore with a body in it. In Japan, the order is reversed. You wash outside the tub. A low stool, a handheld shower, a small basin. You soap, you scrub, you rinse every trace of it away, and only then do you step into the Yubune, the soaking tub, already clean. The water stays clear. It stays hot. Nobody is scrubbing anything, which means the 12 minutes in the water have no job in them. That is the part that matters. A Western bath is a task you are performing on yourself. A Japanese bath is the absence of a task. Your hands are still. There is nothing to reach for, nothing to finish, no soap to rinse. The body reads that. It has been reading it since long before you had language for it. Tonight, do it in this order. Shower first. Get properly clean, the way you already do. Then fill the tub, get in, and put your hands on the rim. You will notice something uncomfortable in the first 90 seconds, which is that you do not know what to do with yourself. Hold on to that feeling. It comes back at number 9, and by then it will have a name. Number 2, Kakeyu, the water before the water. A wooden dipper. Hot water over the tops of the feet, then the calves, then the thighs, the belly, the shoulders, the back of the neck. 10 pores, maybe 12, each one a little further up the body, steam lifting off the tiles, before a single toe goes into the tub. This is Kakeyu, which means pouring hot water over yourself. At a public bath in Japan, it is not optional, and nobody skips it. The Western default is to step straight in and make a sound. That gasp is not enjoyment. It is a startled response, blood pressure jumping, the body braced against a temperature it did not see coming. And in a body over 50, that jump is exactly the thing worth avoiding. Kakeyu removes the surprise. By the time you sit down, your skin has already met the water 11 times, and it has agreed to it. There is a second effect, quieter. 10 pores takes about 40 seconds. 40 seconds in which you are doing something slow, deliberate, and completely pointless by Western standards. It is the first slow thing in your day. Tonight, before you get in, pour water over your feet and work upward. Count the pores. 10 is enough. And keep counting, because the number of minutes you spend afterward is what the empty half hour turns on, and almost nobody spends them. Number 3. Hanshinyoku. Sit to your ribs, not your chin. Michiko is 68 and lives in a small house in Nara. She runs the bath at 8:30 and gets in as she always has, sitting up straight, the waterline crossing just under her chest, arms resting on the rim in the air. She stays there for 20 minutes and never once submerges her shoulders. This is Hanshinyoku, half-body bathing. Only the lower half is in the water. The Western instinct is the opposite. Deeper is better, more is better, sink to the chin, get all of it. And a full-depth hot bath does something a lot of us over 50 feel, and then blame on being tired. It puts real pressure on the chest. It makes the heart work harder, and it heats you so fast that 10 minutes becomes 4 before you have to get out. Half-body bathing trades intensity for duration. Less pressure, less lightheadedness standing up, and crucially, you can stay in long enough for the deep warming to happen, which is the entire point of the exercise. Tonight, fill the tub lower than you normally would. Waterline just under the ribs. Sit up. Let your arms stay out in the cool air. You will be warmer after 20 minutes of this than after 8 minutes up to your chin, and you will notice it most in the half hour that follows, which is the half hour you currently throw away. Number 4. Datsuiba. Warm the room you undress in. Every winter, Japan's Consumer Affairs Agency issues the same public warning, and it is not about the water. It is about the room next to it, the changing room, the Datsuiba, the small space where you take your clothes off. The problem is the gap. You walk from a heated living room into a cold, tiled room, undress, and your blood vessels clamp shut against the chill. Then, 2 minutes later, you lower yourself into 42-degree water, and they open wide. Japan has a word for that swing being dangerous, and the warnings are aimed squarely at people over 65. The Western bathroom is built for this failure. Tile, no heat source. A door that stays shut all day. The fix takes 1 minute and no money. Run the shower on hot with the door closed for 60 seconds before you undress. The room fills with steam and comes up 10 degrees. That is all it is. Or, if the bathroom has a heater, turn it on when you start filling the tub, not when you walk in. Tonight, steam the room first, undress second, and leave the door shut on the way out, because the temperature of that little room is going to matter more than you think when we get to the empty half hour. Number 5. Furo futa. The water is not finished with you. You drain it. That is the Western reflex, and it happens before you have even dried your hands. Bath over, water gone, 40 gallons down the pipe. In a Japanese house, the bath is filled once and covered with a furo futa, a rolling or paneled lid that sits flat on the surface and holds the heat. The whole household uses the same water, one after another through the evening, and the lid goes back on between each person. Some houses reuse the cooled water the next morning for the washing machine. The word underneath this is mottainai. It means, roughly, what a waste, but said with a small ache in it, not thrift, something closer to regret at a thing not fully used. Here is what the lid actually changes, though, and it is not the water bill. It makes the bath a shared, ordered, scheduled thing. Somebody is next. There is a sequence to the evening. In the West, the bath is a private escape you take when everything is finally done, which is to say almost never, which is why your tub is a shelf for shampoo bottles. Tonight, if you have a lid, put it on. If you do not, put a large towel across the surface. The water will still be warm in 40 minutes. And when you climb out, do not walk straight to your bedroom. That walk is the mistake, and it has a name. Pause here for a second. You are 8 minutes from the end of this list, and I want to be honest about something. Everything so far has been about getting into the water correctly. None of it is the hard part. The hard part is what you do when you are out, wet, and the day is technically over. And there is one habit here that most people will read, agree with, and then not do, because it asks for something they have not had in years. That is number 9. There is also one more thing, smaller than all 9, that Japanese people say out loud when they climb out of the tub. 4 words. I will give it to you at the very end. Number 6. Yuzame. The cooling is the medicine. Ellen tried it. She read the same advice you have read, ran a hot bath at 10:45, got out at 11, went straight to bed still pink and steaming, and lay there wide awake, hot, kicking the covers off, more alert than when she started. She decided the bath thing did not work on her. The bath thing worked exactly as designed. She just left before the payoff. Here is what number 6 contradicts. The heat is not what makes you sleepy. The fall afterwards is. Japanese has a word for the state you enter after leaving the tub. Yuzame, bath cooling, the chill that comes as the body sheds all that heat, and every Japanese grandmother warns about it because it can be dramatic. Dramatic is the point. In 1999, Kurt Crouchy and colleagues at the University of Basel showed that the body opens the blood vessels in the hands and feet to dump heat outward, and that this outward dumping is one of the closest physical signals we have to the onset of sleep. The hot bath does not sedate you. It loads the body with heat it must then throw off, and the throwing off is the sleep signal. So, if you get into bed still warm, you have done the setup and skipped the whole payoff. You have taken the run-up and stopped at the edge. Tonight, when you get out, do not dry off completely, and do not dress warmly. Let your arms and your feet stay bare in cool air. That gap between the tub and the bed is not dead time. That is the empty half hour, and you are 90 seconds from finding out what actually goes inside it. Number 7. Ashiyu. 10 minutes. Ankles down. Walk out of a train station in a hot spring town in Japan, and you will find, on the pavement, a long stone trough of steaming water with a wooden bench beside it, and 8 strangers sitting there with their trousers rolled up. It is free. It is called Ashiyu, a foot bath. People stop at it on the way home from work. This is the version for the nights you cannot fill a tub, and if you are honest, that is most nights. Crouchy's finding is the reason it works. The hands and the feet are where the body vents heat, so they are also the fastest place to put heat in. Warm the feet and the vessels open, the core begins its handover, and you get a smaller version of the same curve a full bath produces, which means a plastic basin on the kitchen floor is not a sad substitute. It is the same mechanism, at 40% strength, with none of the setup. Tonight, if the bath feels like too much, fill a basin with water as hot as your feet can stand, ankles under, 10 minutes. Sit somewhere you can see out of a window rather than at a screen. Then dry your feet and leave them bare, because what happens next is the part everybody skips, including the people who do all 8 of these correctly. Number 8. Yuzu-yu. Put the season in the water. On the shortest day of the year, Japanese bathhouses and Japanese homes float whole yuzu fruit in the bath. Dozens of them, yellow, knocking softly against each other, the rind releasing its oil into the steam. It is called Yuzu-yu, the yuzu bath, and it happens on the winter solstice, and only then. In May, on Children's Day, it is Shobu-yu, sweet flag iris leaves standing up in the water like green blades. The point is not the fruit. The point is that the bath is on the calendar. The Western bath has no calendar. It is unmarked, undated, identical in June and December, which is one reason it feels like maintenance. Nothing that repeats without variation can mark time, and a day that is not marked as ending does not end. Slow down here. Let this land. You are not looking for relaxation. You are looking for a boundary. Relaxation is a mood, and it comes and goes. A boundary is a thing you built, and it holds even on the nights you feel nothing. Tonight, put one thing in the water that belongs to this week, and not to every week. A strip of citrus peel, a sprig of rosemary from the pot on the sill, a different soap you only use in August. Small, almost silly, and utterly useless on its own, because the boundary is not drawn in the tub, it is drawn in the 30 minutes after it, and that is number 9. Number 9. Ma. The empty half hour. Look at the room you are in right now. Look at what is in it that is switched on. Here is the sting. You already have the 90-minute rule. I gave it to you in the first minute of this video, for free. 40 to 42 degrees, 10 to 15 minutes, finish 90 minutes before bed. And if you go and do exactly that tonight, and spend those 90 minutes the way you spend every other 90 minutes of your evening, you will get almost nothing out of it. Because the 90 minutes is not a waiting period. It is the practice. The word is ma. It is usually translated as space or interval, but that undersells it. Ma is the pause that carries meaning. the silence between two notes that makes them music instead of noise. In Japanese design, ma is not the leftover part of the room. It is a thing that was deliberately placed there. The empty half hour is ma, applied to the end of your day. In a Japanese house, it looks like almost nothing. You leave the tub. You sit in the cool changing room in a light cotton robe with your arms bare. You dry your hair without hurrying. The lights are low, because bright light at 11 at night tells the brain it is still afternoon. Nobody is doing anything. Nobody is finishing one last thing. The television is off, not muted. And the body, which is now shedding heat as fast as it can, is allowed to complete the process it started in the water. Now, your version. You get out. Towel off hard, put on something warm, and take your phone to the sofa for 90 minutes of bright light and small decisions. And every decision is a tiny instruction to stay awake. You have run the setup and cancelled it, deliberately, for an hour and a half. That is why it will sting. Not because it is difficult, because it is empty. And you have not sat in an empty half hour in years. And part of you knows exactly why you fill it. Tonight, take the 30 minutes directly after the bath and put nothing in them. Low light, bare arms, no screen. Sit down. You will be bored. Being bored is the sound of a day ending. That is the thread through all 9. Not one of them is about being clean. Kakeyu is not about cleanliness. The lid is not. The yuzu is not. Every one of them says the same thing. This is where today stops. The West has no such marker, which is why the day leaks into the night, and you wake up already carrying it. Japan did not add a relaxation practice to the end of the day. It built an ending and defended it. And that 4-word sentence, climbing out of the tub, a Japanese person says it, often to nobody. Ii oyu deshita. That was a good bath. Past tense, always. It was good, and it is finished. That is the whole thing in 4 words. Something was good. It is now over. You are allowed to stop. 7 in the evening, outside Kyoto. The woman in her 60s puts the lid on the water, turns off the light in the small tiled room, and the house goes quiet an hour before anyone sleeps. This channel shares cultural ideas and perspectives for reflection, not professional medical, mental health, or financial advice. So which one of these 9 bath habits is the one your evenings are most missing right now? Is it number 1, and you have been soaking in your own soap for 30 years without thinking about it? Is it number 6, and you climb into bed still hot, wondering why the bath everyone recommends does nothing for you? Drop the number in the comments. Not because we keep score, but because naming the one thing is the first step toward actually changing it. And someone else reading your comment might recognize themselves in it and feel a little less alone. If this changed the way you see the end of your day, share it with one woman in your life who says she is tired but sleeps 8 hours. She might be one empty half hour away from finally feeling it.